We're back. Baschamania episode number 2. Bash in the Brain episode number 1 of the day. What a day. It's conference championship week.
Yeah, Big Ten, baby. Big Ten seeds. Well, they're not out yet, but
well, we got them. Got them.
Not out, but they're out. But, doing on one hand, the Big Ten, they usually just release them. Today they're doing a show, which I think is great.
Well, I got in trouble. The internet got mad at me.
Why?
I said it's so dumb that they're holding the info for a show. And a lot of people said it's great that the Big Ten's doing it. And I said, I don't disagree that the Big Ten doing a show and doing this is great. Me, personally, I hate selection shows because I want to skim through all the data and then consume the commentary. That's just my preference. It's not that...
Yeah, I think it should be produced better. I don't like the way they do NCAA's seeds either, the release show.
Yeah, they show half the bracket, then the other half, and I just personally don't like it, but I'm glad they're doing it. I think that means there's interest.
I was under the impression that they would just the coaches got them this morning, and I was under the impression that they would soon thereafter release them because the way the process works, so they're technically pre-seeds, and the way the process works is they send in their votes, they tally up the votes, divide it by 14, and the highest point getters, they put them in order, right? And any beef, hey, this isn't right, will be decided at the site. Mm-hmm. Okay? And you can only even argue, you can't even argue unless you're within 3 points. So if you got like 76 and I have 72, I can't even argue for my guy to be higher, right? It's got to be within 3. So what I'm getting at is when the coaches get them back, there's nothing to even argue about. So you could theoretically just publish them and fix it at the site. But so, I figured just like every year, they will release them not long after.
By the way, real quick, sorry. Leo Thompson responded to my tweet saying, find out what is making Matt Scout's one facepalm. And he said he bought the wrong Fortnite skin.
Dude, I don't even know. About what those Fortnite skins are nothing but cosmetic. I don't care. It'll make you play better. Anyway, so I assumed that they would just release them just like any other year, and then I find out that they're going to do it. They're not going to do it till they have a show tonight. And at first I was like, come on, man, just give us the freaking seeds.
That was my knee-jerk reaction. Exactly.
That was my knee-jerk reaction too. But the more I thought about it, all right, make it a thing, I guess. But why can't you release them and then, because then it's not must-watch, then you don't get the viewer. I don't know.
Here's my caveat.
I hate when they draw it out like,
correct.
Here's number 1, 8, 9, 4, 12. Like, just give me the.
So here's, I deleted my initial tweet because it's not that it's negative towards the Big Ten for doing it. I realized that part of my caveat to it as well is if you give them to media early in the morning when you give them to coaches, and we can do a show and put it out around the same time or just after, I'm a little bit more okay with that. I don't like making media wait. And it's like, if we can't consume it till then. But either way, I still like...
Yeah, I get it. They get leaked a little bit, though. But whatever.
No, 100%. Either way, I definitely was more negative initially.
Here's the thing. Big Ten, I've talked with them over the years, and they're excited about it. They're invested in wrestling. They make revenue from wrestling, which is a great thing. Big Ten wrestling's here to stay, right? Where everybody else in the country is, man, we gotta fight for our survival. Big Ten is thriving, and if you can draw viewership, if you can draw revenue, if you can be safe, that's a great thing. So obviously Big Ten's all in on wrestling, and I think doing the show just proves that again, that with the rest of the country can wait another 3 hours if it benefits that conference, and so they should. And it should show other conferences that they too can make money in wrestling. So I get it. My knee-jerk reaction was I thought a little bit better of it as the day went on.
Agreed. I deleted my tweet. I'm like, you know what? This is too negative. If the Big Ten can make a show out of it, make a big to-do out about it, then it's for the greater good. I'm being selfish. But I personally, I also just like seeing the data and, like, just let me digest it and then let me listen to the commentary and see what I missed or get your thoughts. But either way, we have Big Ten pre-seeds. Before we talk about Big Tens, do you want to talk about Pan Ams for a few minutes? And if you just want Big Tens, because I realize it's a big week, fast forward to that. If I can do it,
I'm gonna say just in brief summation.
Give me your brief summation.
The talk, Nick Lee didn't quite get it done. Zane Richards didn't quite get it done, and I really wanted it for those guys. But at the same time, all my congratulations. I love Darian Cruz. He's one of the best human beings. He's one of the best kids I've ever come across. Checks all the boxes. That kid's awesome. I'm happy for Gomez. I'm happy for RBY, who I freaking love, and I'm, I didn't come from much, right? And I know RBY didn't come from much. He had a.
He said it this morning. He's got all the love in the world for you. If you didn't listen to that show,
yeah,
Roman and I did a 20-minute quick show this morning. Put it out a couple hours before this. He said Willie's my guy. Like before anybody, years ago, it was Willie.
Yeah, I've always loved Roman, the way he carries himself, and there's a special place in my heart for kids that don't make me tear up now.
No, tear up, because we haven't seen tears from Willie since the Flow Trials.
No, there's a special place in my heart. I know if I had a better support system, I might have made some better choices when I was a kid, right? Yep. And so, and I am by no means saying I would have been Roman Bravo young. I'm talking about choices.
Come on, you're going to be humble now?
Within wrestling, in wrestling and not in wrestling, academic-wise and stuff like that. I mean, if I had maybe a better support system around me, I would have made some different choices. But that's why I always have a little extra. I'm a little extra behind guys that make right decisions, that do the right things, that become great from humble beginnings. And that's I got to be around him at Who's Number One and stuff.
Roman said that on the show this morning about how you were the first one. You invited him to the Who's Number One card. You saw something in him. And I said, Willie has the public accolades of being the brain, but he doesn't give the public accolades for being the heart. And there's a lot of stories out there that it's, very quietly behind the scenes. Willie did this for me. Willie did that for me.
Yeah. I'm super proud of him. I mean, I think I tweeted it like he's waking up an Olympian, man. I mean, how about that? It's so awesome. And so then you get into the transfer, not transfer. I mean, that's for everybody to decide. And I'm okay with how it turned out. It turns into our process is flawed because was Zane Richards the right guy to go? Was Nick Lee the right guy to go? And first of all, our process is the best. When the U.S. isn't top 4, top 3, top 2 every single year, then call me about the freaking process. You guys are trying to change the process or second guessing the process because of crazy one-off instances. I mean,
well, I will say
Zane Richards won the U.S. Open, won Final X. Okay, nobody challenged him. The process was in place to be challenged. Nobody challenged him. Nick Lee won the U.S. Open, won Final X, was challenged and still won that. So don't talk to me about process. The process is fine. Shit happens.
And I put out a poll that said, as an American wrestling fan, what is your level of satisfaction with the current system and procedures? Because the loud minority is often very loud, and only 40% said it's flawed, change it. The other 60 or 58% said love it, keep it, or they were indifferent. And I do think that a lot of that 40% that said it's flawed, changed it, I'm sure there's some logical responses in there, but also a lot of it is fans who say, I'm a Yanni fan, it's flawed because Yanni should have went. I'm a Spencer Lee fan, it's flawed because Spencer Lee should have went. There's a lot of bias in this, and I think there can be different things, but USA also has the unique challenge of accommodating college wrestling. Most other countries, people were surprised that Roman and Darian and Austin are all now Olympians. And they're like, wait, he just qualified the weight. No, they do their team process in December, January. USA Wrestling doesn't do it until the college season concludes. So we're never going to change that process to finding out our world and Olympic team in December, and then going from there.
It might be rare, but we have viable candidates that are in college. Guys that have made world teams before. Dayton's made a world team. Vito has made a world team. Spencer Lee right in contention. He would have been if he was healthy all through college. So you need to accommodate them. And another part of this thing is because you need to accommodate them. Look at all the other Continental Olympic Games qualifiers. Asians are in a couple weeks. No, Asians are last. Euros are in a couple weeks. We are the first one. Pan Ams are the first one. And you know why that is? Because we have to get it in, because we have to accommodate for the trials and do it with the college guys. All right. So, and plus we want that time. We've been very successful having our process where we have the guys and they train all summer and they go to Worlds. That's been very successful for us. So,
we also have the advantage of our guys compete January through April before the Olympic trials, and they hit these international tournaments and sharpen their skill set. I mean, you got Jordan Burroughs going this weekend to the Asar Dogu. I think maybe James Green and some others, but it's like if you already have the World Olympic team, I don't think you see that. If Jordan's not on the team, he's not going to the Asar Dogu in the middle of March after having his fifth kid. So I think America is doing a lot right. Could they make improvements? No doubt, sure. But I do think when we have one of the best teams in the world now,
we set it back. We set it back. I'm like FRL like 3 years ago 4 years ago when it first started happening. There will come a day, and that day was Friday. There will come a day when an expat beats an American. And people will lose their minds. And that's exactly what happened. And it's not going to, it will happen again. It will happen again down the road at some point. And no expatriate team is going to beat the United States. That's not going to happen. But once in a while, we'll lose some head-to-heads. And it's going to happen, guys. So toughen up.
Yeah, and listen, there's a lot of crap talking, and Roman addresses this morning about people training in America competing for other countries. I think the more Americans that are competing in general, all of a sudden, Puerto Rico is on the map. Puerto Rico has 4 of 6 already qualified for the Olympics. And guess what? Sebastian Rivera, Darian Cruz. You're seeing Americans, Ethan Ramos. You're seeing Americans that are having success.
And it does. It's a good thing. I mean, it might come at the expense of the power programs. It might come at the expense of Russia. It might come at the expense of United States, or I guess I can't even think of another one. Azeris don't often transfer. There's been a bunch of Georgian heavyweights that have. Indian, they don't transfer.
But our top team isn't. You're not seeing Jordan Burroughs transfer. You're not seeing a number 2 or 3 transfer. You're seeing guys who would typically be 4, 5, 6 transfer and compete. It's not like all of a sudden we're seeing, a Final X finalist go. Now, that might start to change. Could Roman Bravo Young be a top 2, top 3 in America? Absolutely. So,
hey, did Roman say? Roman said that he's going to continue wrestling, huh?
And at 57 kilos.
That was a surprise to me. That was a surprise to me. I thought he was going to bounce and go try to make money or something. Obviously, yeah. I respect any decision he makes, but I certainly love the fact that he's going to be on the mat for a while.
Yeah, we talked about that. So if you want to hear more about that, go listen to the show. But we did talk about that, how he thinks he's going to compete long term at 57, even in the non-Olympic years, which is huge because he likes the discipline.
That is crazy because I thought, he's mentioned. I think I talked to him at NCAAs last year or the year before, and he was talking about how big he got at the last day, or he was heavy.
100%. We talked about he was a career 133 pounder for 5 years, and now he's competing internationally for 125.
And he felt good doing it, and he looked good doing it. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So go listen to that. Roman Bravo Young, great show on becoming an Olympian. And we'll talk more about the Pan Ams and wrestlers going for other countries. Maybe we do a whole show about it. But right now, the big thing is the Big Tens. That's the big thing. This weekend is the conference championships. We have secured the Big Ten pre-seeds. It was not without drama. It was not without Willie sending me a hand to the face emoji. Of course.
Well, also, let's say this, too, is that, you have different people send you stuff. I'm not going to. We're waiting until after the Big Ten show to put out, because that's just responsible journalism, right? And we're not going to steal anybody's thunder.
Big J card, got to put it out after.
You know what? It's big. It is Big J, but it's also just doing the right thing.
No, it is, and that's I don't want to go against what the Big Ten Network is doing. I think if they think this is a good draw and it's worth doing it, we'll put this out. The second they're done, we'll hit publish. Whatever, not a big deal. I agree, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, let's dive in.
So at the top, let me see where I'm at here.
125, Braden Davis, the 1 seed.
Yeah, you'd love that, wouldn't you? 125 went pretty much to chalk. Ramos, Ayala, Barnett, McKee, Smith, Davis, DiAugustino, which means I had a couple deviations. I was pretty close on this. I had Barnett ahead of Ayala. Number 1, because I like Barnett's upper echelon wins. Number 2, because Drake didn't come out for that Wisconsin duel, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And then the same situation at 4 and 5. I had Smith 4, McKee 5, but that's academic.
So my first note.
It doesn't much matter.
It seems like they did not reward the guy who showed up if the other guy didn't wrestle.
No, they didn't take that into consideration at all. And
which I think is a miss.
In large part, what I said when I did my pre-seeds, and by the way, my seed projections were pretty freaking close. I mean, there wasn't much, not to knock anybody else's, but I compared them all, and I like the way mine holds up the best. And that being said, there were some instances where they just didn't go by their own criteria. There's no other explanation for it. There's no other explanation for it. So where I was wrong, it's because they deviated from their own system. Well, we can get into that a little bit more. Largely speaking, they didn't go so much on the criteria and went off rankings. I mean, if you look at it, it's almost ordered in the rankings order with a couple exceptions, maybe DiAugustino there.
We should have started at 133 because if we get picks, 125 is so crazy.
125 is crazy. So the opening round matchups is going to be an 8-9 matchup with D'Agostino and excuse me, Brendan McCrone and Dean Peterson, the winner to get Matt Ramos. The 6-3 match will be Braden Davis and Eric Barnett. Drake Ayala, the 2, will have Michael D'Agostino. So you look at the team implications here. Davis, Barnett, they are both in a team race. And then maybe Nebraska, third-ish. He'll have Patrick McKee, who pretty much horsed him around last time. Smith was getting in on some nice shots, but McKee's horsepower put him on his back a couple times.
Yeah, 125 is going to be an interesting weight because it's one of those things where I could realistically see 4 guys winning this weight. If you told me Matt Ramos wins, I'm not surprised. If you told me Drake Ayala wins, I'm not surprised. If you told me Caleb Smith wins, I'm not surprised. If you told me Braden Davis wins, I'm not surprised.
Well, here's my theory on picking this weight, is that I simply feel who's going to be in the finals? Who's your most confident pick of all those guys to be in the finals considering their path? And to me, I think Ramos is a clear pick over McCrone or Peterson.
Yeah.
And I frankly think he's the pick over McKee or Smith. Where I can't say I can speak with any degree of confidence over Drake and D'Agostino. The 7 beat the 2 this year. And then Davis, Barnett. So Ayala, Barnett, Davis, D'Agostino. I am more confident that Ramos comes out of one side than any of those 4 come out of the other, and so I'll take Ramos.
I think that Drake, when Drake was, and this is just speculation, when Drake was 100% this year, he looked unstoppable. When Drake looked like he might be injured, he might have the flu, he might be sick, that's when he looked But I think if Drake comes out of the bottom, I think Drake can beat I think it's going to be Ramos. I think the semis up top are Ramos and Caleb Smith. I think Ramos wins that. And Drake Ayala, I think, comes out of the bottom side. I think this could go, with all the craziness we've seen this year, I think there's a path for this to be chalk and go 1 versus 2, Ramos versus Drake in the finals. And I don't know what it is, but all year I've just been impressed with Drake. He lost to Ramos 4-1 in the duel, and I think if it's those 2 in the finals, it's an absolute toss-up, but give me Drake.
Here's my thing. I think even when Drake is clicking on all cylinders and even if he wins a national title, I still think he's going to have these razor-thin matches.
By the way, what happens at Big Tens and what happens in NCAAs could be completely different based on how this year has gone.
Sure. Especially at this weight.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
There's a bunch of 1-point matches. There's going to be 100 1-point matches to be found here.
So who's your official pick for 125 for the Big Tens?
Ramos over Barnett.
Ramos over Barnett. Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm going Ayala.
Listen, his first, it's D'Agostino, he lost to. Right? So he's going to have to get by somebody he's lost to. And then he's going to have.
But when somebody loses 2-1 in tiebreakers, that's as close of a match as you can have.
Okay, but he has to beat somebody.
I agree.
He has to beat somebody he didn't take down in 9.5 minutes, 10 minutes.
I agree. Was he sick during that match?
I don't know.
I'm just, it's not a bad pick. I'm just, I'm going Drake.
I mean,
listen, and for all the freaking people who tell me I have Penn State homerism, which I do, I'm picking Drake to win this weight. Lay off me.
Yeah. I hope he does. I love Drake. 133. Now here's where we have the wrinkle. And I don't know how big of a deal it is, but it's a deal. And it comes on the heels of last year. Last year, Iowa submitted something wrong or something untimely, and Brody Teske was supposed to be entered. They did not enter him. If they would have entered him, he would have had an allocation, but they didn't enter him, so Big Ten had one last allocation for the Big Ten championships. That was last year. This year, they did something not as bad, but also something similar. When you submit your guys for your entries, that's who they're going with. If you make a switch or if you turn a weight in late, they get seated dead last. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but Brody Teske is seated dead last.
I got a DM
from
somebody as soon as I said we were doing this show, and somebody DM'd me and said, "Is it true that there's a something funky at 33?"
Yeah. So that is the something funky, and how big of a deal it is, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, listen, right out of the
I had him 6.
Right out of the gate, you now have, if I think this logic is correct, because you and Chenzo are the bracket gurus, I'm not. If I have it correct, it's Teske Buzakis out of the gate now, right?
Teske Buzakis. You always remember. They add up to 17, and then the quarters they add up to 9. So actually, now that I look at it, I had Teske projected as the 6. He is now the 14, which means he gets Buzakis first round instead of quarters. He gets a Buzakis in the pre-quarters instead of the quarters. So
and I don't think Ohio State and Iowa wrestled this year, right?
Nope.
I don't think they did. So we haven't seen that match.
No, it just, it and I don't know, that's not a match that Teske can't win. But it's just ironic that there was an issue last year and there was an issue with the same exact guy this year. And
yeah,
he'll hit Buzakis a little early. I don't know that it makes his road that much tougher. He's either going to beat Buzakis or he's not, whether he's the 14 or the 6, because he's still in the same position. The only thing doesn't make his road back. That's something you would have to look into and see if it makes his road back any more difficult. Or if you're looking under it in a giant microscope, does it mess up, not for Teske, but for somebody else that had an allocation, if they kind of
Can you explain that to people who don't maybe know? Because you were telling me beforehand, and I said the allocation implications is what I think people aren't paying attention to. The general fan,
right? So maybe somebody like Anthony Madrigal. Madrigal he is the new 6 seed. Well, that's a bad example because he didn't. Maybe like a Tyler Wells who earned an allocation and is now the 8, right? Or somebody in that vicinity. Braxton Brown, Tyler Wells. They earned an allocation. But if Teske, let's say Teske, or it doesn't matter, if Teske wins or Buzakis wins, doesn't matter. Teske's going to cause somebody to fall in a place they wouldn't originally if Teske was a 6. And they knock that guy off, and that guy has to go back to the 9th place bracket. Well, there's only 7 allocations. So if you get knocked off earlier, you're going to the 9th place bracket, and you have to pray for a wild card. So it kind of hurts.
Yeah.
Maybe not Teske, but somebody else.
So what is your prediction for 133 pounds?
Well, let's run through it here. You're going to have Tyler Wells and Nicola Rivera for the right to wrestle Dylan Ragusin. You're going to have Teskey and Madrigal for the right to wrestle Nick Bouzakis. Though the winner of that group will have the Dylan Shawver, Braxton Brown winner. And then it would likely be Ragusin against either Van D or Nagel. Now, Van D Nagel is a quarter. I don't know. This is like sort of lame, but outside of the match that he didn't get any scores on Ragusin's been a buzzsaw all year. It's hard for me to not take him in this weight class.
Yeah, Ragusin's my pick. And, I don't always hate, I don't, when I pick the 1 seed, I kind of look twice, like, oh, that's the easy way out. But when I look through this weight, it's like,
oh my God, I just realized something.
What?
Well, I was going to say, when I was talking about the Big Ten not following their own procedure, not following their own criteria, where it is, what is your conference record? What is your record versus the field? Not your conference record. What is your record this season against these 13 other guys in your weight class, right? They didn't do that. They didn't do that here. They didn't listen to their own rules. They went with Aaron Nagel as the 5 seed, who has beaten one guy in the field. Guess who that guy is? Number 12, who he has first round. So, Nagel, you should see Van D in the quarters, and it's pretty interesting. I think the nation as a whole says, Nagel, he was lightning in a bottle last year. Maybe he'll get his mojo back next year, but this year he's not that guy. And Penn State fans listen to Kale, and they also see how he's lost in some of these matches. And they listen to Kale, who gives glowing reviews about Nagel. And I think Penn State fans are like, man, he can win it all. He can win Big Tens. And
well, if you're a Penn State fan or not,
I don't think they're wrong.
If you're a Penn State fan or not, you have to admit, whether you hate Penn State or love them, you have to admit that when it comes time to March, Cal, Casey, Cody, Varner, Kennedy have their guys ready. They've proven that.
Hold on. That is kind of true. And you're probably sitting there like, what are you talking about, Willie? This is demonstrably true. They show up every time. They reach their pinnacle every time. Yes, but where do they do that, Justin Basch? Where do they do that? Do they do that at Big Tens or do that at NCAAs?
No.
They do it at NCAAs.
Hey, but I said March. And I'm not saying that.
There's like a 10-day period. There's like a 10-day period in the middle of March that something happens in State College in the basement of Rec Hall that's magician stuff. All right? It turns around from Big Tens. How many guys lost at Big Tens and won the title 2 weeks later? True freshman Carter Starocki turns it around against Michael Kemmer. I mean, we've seen Vincenzo Joseph, Aymar. We've seen this, right? It's not a lot. The narrative gets to be Penn State in March. Okay, sure.
Hater.
NCAAs to
Husker Willie. Put your Husker sweatshirt back on. Put your Husker sweatshirt back on.
No, I'm not picking. I'm not saying I'm picking.
And I'm not saying Nagau's going to win. But if all of a sudden Nagau has a great tournament after rumors of him having the flu for a long period of time, after him dealing with a nagging injury to start the year, would I be surprised if Nagau had a great Big Ten tournament?
I'm not.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying I'm surprised. If Aaron Nagau wins this tournament, I'm not surprised. What I'm saying is the likelihood, the data suggests that they're even better. Penn State is even better on the last weekend of the year than they are at Big Tens. And, I'll take Nagau to beat Van D, but this go round, I'm going to take Ragusin in the semis and Ragusin in the finals.
I'm taking Ragusin too.
Over who?
Buzakis.
Over Van D or Nagel in the semi?
Oh, it's such a tough call. Yes.
Okay, so you got Buzakis coming out of that side that's winning round 1 versus Brody Teske and then beating Madrigal, who's been really he beat Van D. He went on a run. Like, he looked awful in the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been really good ever since. I think he hasn't lost in the Big Ten for a long time. That's interesting. So, Big Ten takes 7 here. The number 7 is Braxton Brown. Then you got Wells, Nikolai Rivera, Caden Rooks, Dustin Norris, Andrew Hampton, Patrick Adams, Brody Teske. One of those guys could steal a spot.
It's going to be interesting.
141, we take 11 guys. Your top
Give me
seed.
Nagel making the finals.
I knew you couldn't resist.
Give me Nagel making the finals. All right,
Nagel
41.
I mean, listen, he had a lead on Van D, and Ragusin was a
Give me
overtime.
a healthy Nagel. You're talking me into it. Nagel had an injury to start the season. He had the flu for a long period of time.
Oh, I get his homework that one time?
Give me Nagel.
Of course.
All right, 141.
We take 11. Bo Bartlett is your number 1 seed. This one pretty much held up. 125, I did really well. 133, I did really well, except I played it by the book and had Nagel way low. Well, other than that, it was pretty close. 141 was really good. I got the top 5 in a row. Did I even do deeper than that? Let's see.
I don't think you did, but I think you nailed the top 5.
8, 9. I had the top 9 correct with the exception of I flipped 7 and 8. Mitch Moore is the 7, Hampton's the 8. I had that flipped. So it goes Bo Bartlett, Jesse Mendez, Real Woods, Brock Hardy, Sergio Lemley, and on down the list. Those are, I think the top 5 there are the true contenders. So that would give us.
That gives us a Hardy Lemley quarter, right?
The quarters would be Bo Bartlett against the winner of Hampton or Fungaro. Jesse Mendez against Mitch Moore. Real Woods against Danny Pacino. And, these matchups seem pretty pretty easy to pick. And then you have the big one with Hardy and Lemley, who Hardy won, but Lemley scored on him a bunch and pushed him to the brink. So that's the interesting one there.
That was a 13-9 match.
Yeah, and
that was a week after. And that was a week after Lemley took out Real Woods 14-2.
Right.
So that to me is, there's a lot of casual fans that tune into the semis and the finals of a tournament like this. If you're a guy who watches the finals or the semis, do not miss that quarterfinal. Do not miss Brock Hardy, Sergio Lemley. You can't miss it.
There's dang, I wanted to write this article. Maybe I'll write it right after this. But the top matchups, actually, me and the team at Intermat went through them. The top matchups that we haven't seen this year yet. And one of them, to me, like one of the best matchups, Younger Bastida and Wyatt Hendrickson. That's a lot of questions, right? There's a lot of questions there. We haven't seen that yet. But we'll see it. Could see it this weekend. But here's one for you: Mendez Woods. We haven't seen that yet, and that to me, that's a fantastic matchup. And I think, as deep as the Big Ten is, I think we're all taking probably Bo versus Hardy in one semi and Woods Mendez in the other semi. Correct?
Yeah. Say that again. I was looking
Your
at Big 12
semis
brackets.
Your semis will be Bartlett, Hardy, Mendez.
Well,
Taking Lemley?
It's not that I'm taking Lemley. It's that I'm not auto putting Hardy in the semi.
Oh, I'm not either. I think that's a thing.
That's
for
why.
sure.
That's why. If I was telling you the semis, I think it's Bo versus Lemley / Hardy up top.
Yeah, but you got to make a pick.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Right.
I don't remember who I picked in that duel. It's so tough.
You picked Hardy.
Did I pick Hardy?
Yeah. I'm picking Hardy here. There's two different trains of thought. One thought is, okay, Lemley felt him once, right? And he can make adjustments and close that gap a little bit, maybe come out on top this time. But I think too for Hardy felt Lemley. Hardy being a veteran probably was like, yeah, whatever. I know this kid just beat Real Woods, but and so I probably think Hardy's like, okay, this is going to be 7-minute war. I'm prepared for 7 minutes now, as opposed to last time. I got Hardy. I got Hardy, Bartlett, and I'll take Bo, but the Hardy, the first match was down to the wire. So I'll take Bo in the finals. Man, I don't know who to take, Mendez or Real.
Mendez.
I just think that
I'm going Bo over Mendez in the finals.
It's hard for me to understand. If like almost every single stud this year had a bit of a dip in performance at some point in time. That's Carter Starocki winning a 1 takedown match against Rocco Welsh. It's the best in our game. It's the best the best in college wrestling right now. All had some dips. So is Real's dip, and we know Carter had the flu. This guy had the flu. Keegan O'Toole missed some matches because of the flu.
I agree. I know where you're going.
Is it because Woods was dinged up or sick? Does he come back now, like you were saying, Aaron Nagel? Now Aaron Nagel's right. Do we see a different version of him? Do we see the old version of Real Woods, or has some people caught up to him, or is he just not at that level right now for whatever reason? I have a tremendously difficult time writing off Real Woods.
I agree. My pick is nobody's beating Bo Bartlett this year. Nobody's beating Jesse Mendez this year but Bo Bartlett.
Well,
but listen. So when I look at this way, I think the seeds of 1, 2, 3, Bartlett over Mendez over Woods over Hardy, that in my brain is how I kind of rank these guys. But when I say that, my instant thought is, am I discrediting Real Woods too much? But Jesse Mendez all year has continued to impress me. And that's why for me it's like Jesse Mendez 21-2 this year, 80% bonus.
Who did he lose to? He lost to Bartlett?
He lost to Bartlett in OT, and he had a close loss 4-2 against Cole Matthews.
Yeah.
And Real Woods also has 2 losses. He lost to Sergio Mendez, and that, I don't want to call it a fluke loss, but it was an uncharacteristic 14-2 loss. And then Bo Bartlett beat him 7-2 pretty soundly. So I'm going Bartlett, Mendez, Real as my 1, 2, 3.
There was no way in Sam Hell that Real Woods was 100%.
I'm
not taking anything away from Lemley. I'm not saying that Lemley can't beat Real when Real's at 100%. I'm just saying keep that in mind. I'm gonna go.
I agree with you.
I'm gonna go Real. I'm gonna go Bartlett over Real. I'll probably whiff that. The finals will probably be Mendez Hardy.
Husker fans sure would like that after the way the Bartlett Hardy match finished a couple weeks ago. But I'm going Bartlett over Mendez in the finals. I think the disrespect Bartlett has gotten this year, not disrespect intentionally, but the fact that even you are putting Hardy in the finals, when
I didn't put Hardy in the finals.
Wait, you just did. You just said Hardy over Real. Oh, you said you think it's going to end up being
No,
Hardy.
I said I'll take Bartlett over Real, but I'll probably mess up both.
Yeah,
and it'll be
okay.
Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long day.
Because the Big Ten and this weight in the Big Ten. I mean, look at all the nail biters that you had throughout this weight. It's crazy.
Bo Bartlett listen to this stat. Bo Bartlett is 18-0. He's only at 44% bonus. So it shows you how many close matches there have been.
And his style, he just doesn't blow a whole lot of people out. But
neither does Real typically.
I'll tell you what he doesn't do. When's the last? How many takedowns has he given up this year? 3, 2? Not a lot.
Not a heck of a lot.
Another thing about this weight, it brings 11, so pretty much the whole damn conference is going. There's only 14 guys in it, and they bring 11. 149, how many do they bring? 149 brings 9. And Ridge Lovett is your top seed. This was the easiest way. I nailed this whole thing. 1 to 10. Lovett, Gomez, Rachi, Kasich, D'Amelio at the 5, Miller the 6, Zargo 7, Graham Rooks 8, Drew Roberts 9, Michael Chetta 10. And that was really easy to do. Wasn't difficult at all. So you will have a 10-7 pre-quarter with Chetta and Zargo. The winner gets Gomez. You will have a Drew Roberts Graham Rooks match for the right to face Ridge Lovett. You'll have Ethan Miller versus Caleb Rachi. And you'll have D'Amelio versus Kasich. And because it was the easiest one to seed, Ridge beat Gomez. Gomez beat Rachi. Rachi beat Kasich. Kasich beat D'Amelio. Mm-hmm. The data's all up in your face. There's no transitive properties going on here that makes it slippery. I'm going Ridge over Gomez, and we'll see if that final holds. I mean, Gomez just beat Nick Lee, by the way.
Does that hurt him this weekend?
Don't know.
Could help him. And here's what I'm thinking.
Could help him. He could say, you know what? I just beat Nick freaking Lee. 2-time national champ, world team member. I just beat him. I can go beat Ridge Lovett. Now, the one thing that might not help him is he just weighed in at 143.
Well, and not to mention, Nick Lee was in Mexico for 2 weeks. So something's going on with his lungs. I don't think he's anywhere near 100%. I don't think traveling to Mexico to compete in a tournament and having an emotional high is helpful to competing the following week. Austin Gomez just became a freaking Olympian. That is huge. That was one of his, if not the best, freestyle competitions of his career. That is a high. Now, can Austin Gomez, a kid in his 20s, bring himself back and emotionally prepare to come back to gravity and compete in the Big Tens? Like you said.
I'll tell you another thing that's an interesting dynamic at the weight is Ridge Lovett is coming off a loss. So he's fired up. Now, his next target is Austin Gomez as an Olympian. And it went from Ridge pretty much shellacked Gomez, next topic, to, oh my God, Ridge lost and Austin Gomez beat Nick Lee. All right, so I think probably Ridge refocuses and says, let's get this done again.
Gomez is a very different guy in freestyle and folk style. And as many people as want to say there's a lot of similarities, there's also a lot of differences. Gomez is a guy who is going to go upper body and he's going to try to throw you nonstop. In freestyle, that favors you because he beat Nick Lee by taking him down 3-4 times. So when you have to go top bottom and you're being ridden out or you're on top, it's a very different dynamic than how he beat Nick Lee. Austin Gomez beat somebody was saying we should have sent Yanni to Pan Am's. And I said, first of all, Gomez beat Yanni last year.
Second
Gomez
of all,
can beat.
Nick Lee has beat Yanni. You
Correct.
You can't just send who you want. You have to have a process.
But Gomez also can beat anybody. He can beat anybody. That's just how he wrestles.
And probably, to your point, more likely to do so in freestyle.
Yeah, 100%.
And with Ridge's top game, right? It's a game changer. So, but anyway, long story. We're really breaking down Lovett and Gomez here, but I think that's a clear final, and that's my pick: Lovett over Gomez.
I'm going Lovett over Gomez as well, but the semis I think are going to be very interesting. But I'm going Lovett as well, and I think what he's done on top all year is plays into that heavily.
Are you trying to tell me that you're thinking about taking Rachi over Gomez or Kasich over Ridge? Stop.
No, what I'm saying is Kasich just wrestled Lovett very tough. It was a 7-3 match. Kasich looked very good. Do I think he's going to upset Lovett? Probably not yet. So give me Lovett by logic. On the bottom side, I don't know what Gomez is going to show up. Again, you can't discredit. You talk about a lot in college football or college basketball. You have these huge team wins. They ride this roller coaster and they get upset the next week. These are college kids in their 20s, and it is very hard to become an Olympian and then just come back and step on a tournament as just another college guy. That's just the roller coaster of a week, and how it affects somebody. You can't completely discredit that.
No, and frankly, we've seen Austin Gomez be off before. Last year. Right? All right.
How about this year? Ridge Lovett took it to him.
Yeah, but that's the only loss he had.
But
he's only
had 8 matches.
His only okay.
He's had 8 matches.
That's Ridge Lovett beating Gomez like that. I wouldn't say it's.
What's more Okay, what's more surprising? Lovett
Real Woods losing a bunch in a row is a person being off.
Hold on. What's more surprising? Ridge beating Gomez 11-4 or Ridge beating Kasich 7-3?
I don't know. Neither are. When you're just talking about 1 7-minute match, there's not a whole lot that's surprising. I'm just saying, last year at NCAAs, Gomez was totally off.
Gomez is the guy who can win every match or he loses. He's going to let it fly every time he's exciting. I think he's going to make it to the finals.
He didn't AA last year, right? I mean, we're talking about a guy that in a season where he beat Yanni Nakamahalas didn't AA. Okay, that's being off. And I'm agreeing with you in that he has other things going on. He did a bunch of traveling. He made an Olympic team coming off a big win, made 143.5 pounds. There's a lot, that's 5.5 pounds under. I'm agreeing with you. 157, Big Ten is taking 9. Levi Haynes is the 1 seed. Michael Block is the 2. Brayton Lee got the 3. I believe, somebody told you that was going to happen. And that was me. Haynes 1, Block is 2, Brayton Lee 3, Jared Franek 4, Peyton Robb 5, Chase Soldate 6. So I had a big miss there with Joey Blaze. I had Joey Blaze 5. Joey Blaze is the 8. Joey Blaze has a win over Rob and somebody else and got the 8. Joey Blaze got hosed. The worst seed. This is the worst seed of Big Tens. Joey Blaze getting an 8.
Interesting.
Blaze will have Trombley, for the right to wrestle Levi. Will Lowan has Michael Blockus in his pre-quarter match. Can wake me up when that one's over. Just tell me who won. Brayton Lee is the 3. He'll have Chase Saldate, Frantic, and Rob in a quarterfinal. And should they win, they'll get Levi. So the semis based on seeds would be Blockus versus Lee, and the winner of Frantic Rob against Haynes. And I'm going to be honest with you.
Frantic Rob is going to be a great quarter.
Frantic looked great at Oklahoma State.
He did. Iowa all looked great at Oklahoma State.
But you know what? To me, this is, if Levi's cut is not a issue, this is next topic stuff to me.
I agree.
And it's incredible to say that, because I was not. I mean, a month ago I was I did put Meyer over Levi. Now I'm all on the Levi train.
Yeah, I think this is Levi next topic. But Frantic Rob is going to be an awesome quarter. I think Frantic Haynes is going to be an awesome semi. Obviously, these are if the seeds hold, but
the crazy thing is, Blockus, the other finalists from the bottom half is going to be Blockus, Brayton Lee, Chase Saldate, or Will Luan. Who the hell are you taking to make the final opposite Levi? I mean, it just feels really unbalanced. You got Levi, Frantic, Rob, and you got Blockus, Lee, Saldate, Luan.
I think Blockus. I think this looks great. I think this is kind of like a free year for him in the sense of, you know, he did a couple Bellator fights. He decided to come back. I don't think he has a lot of pressure on himself performance, and I think we're seeing that. And I like how he's wrestling.
I don't think so either. I was talking to Griffin Perriott. He won Fargo a few years back, and he wrestled at Purdue. I had him pretty high on the big board, actually, and we were pretty tight when he was in high school and a little through college. And we were talking yesterday, and he's going down when Blockus is done. He's going down to Killcliff with my boy Greg Jones with that group: Storley, Mitch McKee, Blockus, Perriott. Gable was down there. And he was saying that Blockus is wrestling really carefree. Like this is just a bonus. This is a cherry on top.
Listen to who Blockhouse is 15-1 this year, 50% bonus, has wins over Joey Blaze, Trevor Chumley, Peyton Robb, Jared Frantic. I mean, this guy is wrestling as good as he can. He had one loss. He lost 4-2 early in November to DJ McGee. Kind of throw that as a mulligan. Guy's had an awesome year. So I'm predicting a Levi Blockus final, and I think Levi wins solidly.
Yeah, the X factor here to me, considering that whole side is unbalanced, you know, if Peyton Robb was the 6 and that group was Blockus, Brayton Lee, Peyton Robb, I think it would be more interesting than what we have now. I think Peyton being the 5 instead of the 6 is actually makes it more difficult for Peyton Robb.
You know, the hardest thing about these shows is the hardest thing about the shows is I was just thinking about it. In 2020, when Big Tens were at Rutgers, Seabass had an amazing tournament, walks by me and said, "You didn't pick that on Baschamania, did you?"
No.
And I started cracking up. And I'm like, listen, I can only pick one guy, and I usually like 3 or 4 of you.
I mean, it's data, and it's what we've seen. By all means, go out and prove us wrong, right?
And it doesn't mean that we're not happy when you win. It's just it's hard to only pick one guy in a field where you like a bunch of guys.
I think the X factor here is that Brayton Lee and Michael Blockus were workout partners for years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, number one, they're workout partners. Number two, Brayton has wrestled like so many limited matches. Is he the Brayton Lee from 3 years ago, or is it Brayton Lee from last year? Right? I mean,
Again, we talked about Gomez only wrestling 8 matches this year. Here's another guy. He's 8-0 on the year, undefeated, but again, he's only got 8 matches.
Yeah, I have no idea where he's at. He's had some good wins, but can he string them together? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he beat Will Luan 2-1. We've never seen that before.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna go Levi, and I guess I'll go Blockus as well at runner-up. They take 9, so the people in danger, so to speak. Let's start from 7 on down. Luan. Well, it's not even from 6 on down. Soldate, Luan, Blaze, Chumley, Wilcox, DeSantis, North, Meckler, Swall. 5 of those guys will not go. 165 seeds were. I nailed the top 9 here in order, with the exception of 6 and 7. I had flip-flopped again because the Big Ten went with, instead of their process, they went with rankings. So Dean Hamidi 1, Mesenbrink 2, Caliendo 3, Caleb Fish 4, Antrell Taylor 5. They went with Cam Amin 6 ahead of Stoney Buell, who's 7. Ohio State's Bryce Hepner 8, Tyler Lillard 9. So that gives us there's an interesting wrinkle here, though. Antrell Taylor is the 5 seed, and he's been having a good, solid year, and he's been finding a way to win. Edged Cam Amin. But he has Max Mayfield in a pre-quarter, who he went to overtime with. That's 2. Both those guys are Nebraska natives, pretty familiar with each other. And so that's a landmine for Nebraska there. But pre-quarters would be Mayfield versus Taylor. Let's see if there's any other interesting ones. Chris Moore, Cam Amin. Not really. Bryce Hepner, Tyler Lillard for the right to face Dean Hamidi. Quarterfinals would give you Cam Amin versus Caliendo. Antrell Taylor, if he can get by Max Mayfield, will have Caleb Fish. How did the match between Amin and who am I thinking of here? Amin and Caliendo, if that would be a quarter, how did that go? Did that happen? I feel like Amin went.
I don't think Amin wrestled.
Right. I feel like Amin didn't go. But
yeah,
maybe
I don't think Amin wrestled. Yeah, no, Amin didn't wrestle that duel.
No. So that's an interesting matchup. The way the season's been going, Caliendo looks much sharper, but these older veterans can kind of sometimes sleepwalk through the regular season, get to the postseason, and you say, okay, that's the Cam Amin I used to know. So I think that's a fascinating quarterfinal.
Here's the storyline for me at this weight. I think it's Hamidi versus Mesenbrink in the final. And Mesenbrink has not been able to wrestle a top 5 guy yet this year. Maybe in Caliendo, I guess. I don't know if Caliendo is 5. Hamidi's ranked 4th right now. What's interesting to me at this weight is Hamidi is by far the toughest challenge Mesenbrink will face all year. Mesenbrink, who, if you had an award for what guy has impressed you the most this year, he's got to be top 3. Has to be.
He got to be freshman of the year, right? Is there anybody else?
He's got to be freshman of the year. I'm pretty sure he's the only one undefeated right now. He's 19-0 on the year. So here's what's interesting for me. Number 1, I think it's Hamidi and Mesenbrink in the finals. What happens with O'Toole Carr at Big 12s? because we did not see O'Toole Carr in the dual meet. All of Missouri was sick. So there was a lot of talk of if O'Toole and Carr split the matches, what would happen with seeds. Now we're only going to see O'Toole Carr at the Big 12s. So,
Yep.
what happens if Messenbrink beats Hamidi? Where does he go? The way that this weekend plays out is so interesting to see where guys are seated at NCAAs and what those potential semifinals could be. I think you got to say 165 semis are on paper, if chalk happens, the most anticipated semis, right? If we saw an O'Toole Carr semi.
Oh, NCAAs?
Yeah, I'm saying based on what happens this weekend in both of these weights in the finals, if it's 1 and 2 versus 1 and 2, have crazy implications for how the seeds go next week. Where typically one and 2.
I wonder if Messenbrink beats Hamidi and Keegan beats Carr, they will be the only 2 undefeateds. I'd have to go 1-2 there.
Yeah,
right.
I think if O'Toole's undefeated and Messenbrink's undefeated, I think you have to go O'Toole 1 and Messenbrink the 2, which could then set up for. Man, that's tough. So then does Hamidi go up top? This weight, to me, watching what happens in direct correlation with how it's going to play out at NCAA seeds, this is the weight for me.
Yeah. Yeah, this has the most. Well, let's look through some other. This, to me, this and 41. I don't think there's any other weights that at Big Tens this year that has as much impact into the national individual title picture.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Right? Because at 41 you have like 4 of the top 6: Bartlett, Mendez, Wood, Hardy. And then here you have right now what is the 4 and 5 with the potential of one of them, if Messenbrink wins, possibly a 2 seed. Now, if Messenbrink wins and Carr wins, or if there's a lot of moving parts here.
It's one of those weights where you need to sit back, watch how it happens, be entertained. O'Toole and Carr, and then if you have Messenbrink, Hamidi, this is the weight of the weekend for me. There's a lot of interesting stuff. Heavyweight is going to be up there as well. With a younger Bastida White Hendrickson, that is one of the most anticipated matchups for me this weekend as well. But yeah, this way, I think it's Messenbrink. Messenbrink has just looked so good. And I know you think that Penn State peaks at nationals and not Big Tens.
I think
Messenbrink
I think Messenbrink's a different animal. I think that now I won't be surprised either way. I think it's a good matchup for Messenbrink because Hamidi is so offensive, which gives Mitchell's nonstop. But a lot of times it's a person, I don't know, trying to defend. Mitchell won't have to open Hamidi up because Hamidi's wide open at all times.
Right.
So it's going to give him some opportunities. Now, that being said, is Hamidi sound enough defensively? Because Messenbrink's shots are coming. Can Hamidi turn a corner on Messenbrink? Can he counter him? There's going to be a lot of funk. I mean, this is going to be 12-11 match, right? I mean,
no.
I think it's going to be. I think the winner has double digits.
I don't think it's that close. If Hamidi gets the win here, I think he maybe. There's so many things I can see happening here. I mean, Hamidi has looked so good this year, but
I don't know. I don't know that has Mesenbrink been taken down?
Yes.
Yeah, he was taken down by Antrell Taylor. I know.
No, the beginning of.
Yeah, he was taken down by Antrell Taylor.
Yeah.
But that was like a slide by. I don't know. It was a shrug type thing. I just feel like it's one of those matches where both guys score.
Yeah.
I'll take Mesenbrink. I'll take
high scoring match that I think Mesenbrink wins.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I got too. But I won't be surprised if Hamidi wins. It's a huge litmus test for Mesenbrink. It's, we're all the way in March and we don't know exactly. He certainly gets style points. He certainly gets effort points. He certainly gets motor points. He certainly gets true a freshman wow factor points. We know he's going to be great.
Here's the thing.
Is he there now?
Based on how Intermat has everybody ranked, if O'Toole the 1 beats Carr the 2, Julian Ramirez is going to win EIWAs. He's currently ranked 3rd. He has nobody. And then if Hamidi the 4 beats Mesenbrink the 5, let's say that holds true, you're probably going to see those seeds at NCAAs. So you would end up with a Hamidi-Mesenbrink rematch in the quarters for Mesenbrink to go wrestle O'Toole in the semis, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of...
It's going to be an awesome way to watch.
For Hamidi, it's sort of a freaking no-win situation. Because if you win, you're still the 4, right?
Correct.
But if you lose, you're the 5, and Mesenbrink goes to the 2 or 3.
Mesenbrink has more to win than Hamidi has to lose this weekend, for sure.
That's right. All right, 174, the big question mark, Carter Starocci. He's your 1 seed. Shane Griffith 2, Patrick Kennedy 3, Edmund Ruth 4, Rocco Welsh 5. This is another one of those ones that was really easy to seed. I nailed this with the exception of 8-9. I had Sparks over Washington, and it was Washington over Sparks. But it's a pretty much chalk weight. Starocci, Griffith beat Kennedy beat Ruth beat Welsh. Welsh beat Turley. So what we have is Jackson Turley, Patrick Kennedy quarter, Rocco Welsh, Edmund Ruth quarter, and does Carter Starocci actually take the mat and wrestle a real match? Now, take this for what it is, and it's not breaking news because I've seen it on message boards and stuff after I had heard it. But this is like a couple days ago. People were saying Starocci's he'll be pretty good for NCAAs, but Big Tens, he's like riding a bike and stuff, and he's doing motion and stuff, but he might not be ready to go for Big Ten, so they expect him to default. Now, I don't know if that's true at all. I'm just telling you what the word on the street is. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. You got 2 ways to break this bracket down. One is with Starocci wrestling, one is with not him defaulting out.
It's tough. I don't think we see Carter wrestle a full weekend. I think there's no way he's going to be 100%. And if you're not 100%, do you risk winning? Do you risk it to win your 3rd Big Ten title when the probability says if you make it to the finals, you could hurt yourself further and miss out on winning your 4th national championship? The gamble there is just, my gut says I don't think we see Carter wrestle a full time.
I don't know his condition. There's no way for me to say whether he should or shouldn't. I don't know I don't know what his injury is. I don't know. And they're even beyond that, everybody reacts differently to the same injury and to different grades.
I know what his injury is.
But I'm glad I don't have to make the decision. I mean, I'm glad in this case I don't have to make the decision. So I don't know. I don't know what happens. I'm going to say that he doesn't wrestle.
Yeah, I think Shane Griffith wins this weekend because I don't think Carter wrestles the whole weekend. Shane looks like recently he's come back into his own. He looks like he's going to finish his college career strong. You know, if he just 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was a month ago now, it's probably early February, he just majored Patrick Kennedy, and he looked damn good doing it. His win against Bubba Wilson was not convincing. His win over Rocco Welch was not convincing. But that Patrick Kennedy major stuck out to me. The match with Bear Claw didn't stick out to me.
You know what I was just thinking? I had somebody reach out to me and say, you know what they should do? If the coach knows that your wrestler is going to medical default twice to start the Big Ten tournament, because you can't not take the mat twice. You have to take the mat twice. You have to lose twice. You have to have 2 losses go on your record. And they said, if you're going to do that, the coach should have to tell that ahead of time and seed you last so it doesn't mess up the whole bracket. And at the time, this is 2 days ago, I said, yeah, you're right, because that messes up the whole bracket. Carter's gonna default, and then the winner of Edmund Ruth and Rocco Welsh gets a bye in the semis and makes the finals, right? Well, I don't agree with that anymore.
In my opinion, Carter's won the 1 seed.
He won the 1 seed. He earned the 1 seed. And because I understand breaking up the bracket, but because you earned the 1 seed, and because you have to take losses that now go on your record, which was the right thing, which was the thing I was hollering about for 2 years, you can thank me, because I was screaming from the mountaintops that medical default should count as losses. And now they do, because people read my Twitter. Okay? If you earn the 1 seed, you should want your losses to be against the highest guys. You want your loss to be against an Edmund Ruth or a Rocco Welsh, right? You don't want your loss to be against the 14 seed or the 9 seed or whatever, right?
Yep.
What if Carter wrestles 2 matches and then defaults the rest of the way, just to get one last revenge on Donnell Washington?
I think he's already got that revenge out of his mind and he's over it. I don't think it does anything
That's a
anymore.
trivia question. Who's the only guy to have 2 wins over Carter Starocki?
That would be a trivia question.
That would be terrible. So if Carter defaults, and I think he will, I will go Shane Griffith over Rocco Welsh in the finals.
Yeah, I agree.
Although I don't pick Welsh over Ruth with much confidence. That's just I'll throw one out there. Now, how many do they get here? The show starts in the Big Ten show starts right now.
Starts in 1 minute. Yep.
Okay, 74. Big Ten takes 8. And that is another thing again. Carter will get a at large, but we'll see. 184. Thankfully, we can run through the next 3 pretty quickly, because Big Ten is kind of thin up top.
Yeah.
84, 97 heavyweight. Salazar, you're 1. This was a really easy one to seed. I got this whole thing right with the exception of the 3-4. Salazar 1, Pinto the 2, Bernie Truex the 3, Ryder Rogotsky the 4, Jaden Bullock the 5, Lane Malshewski the 6. The only one I got wrong was 3 and 4. They put Bernie ahead of Rogotsky. I don't think it's a wrong decision, but it was a question because Rogotsky did pin Truex. So you get Pinto Truex again in the semis instead of Bernie Salazar semi. And honestly, I didn't want to see that. I wanted to see new
Yeah, same.
I wanted to see new stuff. I wanted to see Bernie Salazar, which we haven't gotten to see. I wanted to see Pinto Rogotsky, which probably would have blew the roof. Somebody would get pinned for sure.
I want to see those 2-3 seeds switched. Yeah.
Just out of pure entertainment.
Yeah. To be honest, I think the Pinto Truex seed, the winner of that semi, if seeds hold, wins it.
I'm gonna take Salazar. I'm gonna take Salazar over Pinto. I don't know what it is. Pinto it was highway robbery in the duel this year and screwed everything up. Pinto should be the one. Pinto should have won that match. But it's not the first time Salazar beat Pinto. Salazar to this point has had his number. Lenny, for as much power as you see Lenny have, he is not a big 84. I mean, they talked about him going 74 before, and Salazar is enormous. Salazar's enormous. So Salazar's going 97 next year. Book it.
Book it.
I'll take Salazar over Pinto.
I'm taking Pinto Truax winner to beat Salazar.
Okay, 97. You got pretty much next topic here where Aaron Brooks, he's the 1, Jackson Smith the 2, Glazier the 3, Silas the 4, Garrett Jones, Luke Geog, John Poznansky. I think the best form of John Poznansky, the best form that might have been a true freshman. He was definitely a freshman All-American at 184 was Poznansky. The best version of Poznansky could give Jackson Smith trouble, but he hasn't been his usual self. Allred should beat Joel's this way is extreme chalk. The only thing that's mildly interesting is can Glazier beat Smith? I'm going to take Smith right now. I think that Glazier has shown a tremendous. I'm going to start a new category: comeback wrestler of the year or breakthrough wrestler of the year. I should do that every year. Breakthrough senior of the year.
That's a good one.
Or I guess he's technically a junior, but breakthrough, the freshmen are all breakthrough. Non-freshman breakthrough of the year. That rolls right off the tongue. But I'll give it to Zach Glazier. That being said, I am not picking him to beat Jackson Smith just yet. I mean, yes, he wrestled AJ close. Yes, he beat Luke Serber. Yes, he beat Silas Allred. This is a next tier. Mm-hmm. This is a next tier. I mean, he had a match with Luke Serber. Luke Serber is a perennial top 16 blood round guy at the best case scenario, and it came down to one scramble. I'm not ready to take Glazier over Smith. Can I see it? Absolutely. Am I picking it? No. Brooks over Smith. Next topic, 197.
AJ beat Glazier, but was then DQ'd.
Right. I said, fourth match.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think Brooks gets this done. Obviously, Jackson Smith Glazier is going to be a great match. I think
weird year. Really weird year up top. 84-97 heavyweight. Not a whole heck of a lot to argue about or to discuss. And it continues in the next weight where Kirkley is a massive, massive favorite over everyone. I think the only question here is who wins the semi, Feldman or Davison. Feldman pulled it out at the buzzer last time to win a duel. We got Kirkfleet 1, Feldman 2, Davison 3, Slavakuski 4, which I thought was a little high for him. Probably 1 or 2 spots too high. Seth Neville's 5, Nick Willem 6, Bradley Hill 7. It is Bradley Hill for Iowa. Yeah, I really don't care. I'll tune in for the semis of this. And I'll take Davison. I'll take Kirkley over Davison.
By major?
I don't care.
The most interesting thing about this weight this weekend is if we see Wyatt Hendrickson, Younger Bastida in the Big 12 finals. That's the most interesting thing about heavyweight this weekend.
Yeah, Big 12 loaded there. And that matchup in particular.
Yeah. Kirk next topic at this weight for me. He's just separated himself from the pack so much.
So how many Penn State champs did you pick? 11?
Penn State champs. I think Bartlett wins it. I think Levi wins it. I think Messenbrink wins it. I think Brooks wins it, and Kirk. 5.
Carter, what about
if Carter wrestles 6?
Are you starting a petition to name Carter the champ, even if he defaults?
No, if you've listened to this podcast for years, you've known that I've said a big part of winning is health and timing. You got to stay healthy. You got to have the right timing. I know, but there's people that are legitimately asking that question. And I think health and timing is so important. It is.
Well, it's going to be a fun weekend. In addition to Big Tens, every conference is going. I don't know if any other conference has released seeds. EIWA is tomorrow.
Big 12 did.
Big 12 did while we were right before we shot this show, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to digging into those. I'm going to go watch the Big Ten show, and you're going to watch this afterward.
Yeah. All right. That's all. And we might do another show this week. We'll see. I'm in Florida next week. So we might have to do a Bash in the Brain Conference Championship recap from Florida. So if you want to come down, I'll be in Florida. Otherwise, my background next week, hopefully palm trees for the show.
Attaboy.
All right, that's the show. Like, subscribe, follow. Go watch Roman Bravo Young's interview this morning.
And the beat goes on.